Newton doesn't need to be shaking. Cam Newton needs to be listening. So Ice Cube is now, come on, Funky Fridays, his Cam Newton's interview show where he interviews different celebrities, and all the Ice Cube clips are being released right now over there on YouTube. But one is going viral about Ice Cube talking about being with the same woman for 30 plus years. Classy. There's a lot to this story. There's a lot I have to say. This is definitely a Chrissy chat. Let's talk about it. So Ice Cube, just like Snoop Dogg, all these old gangster fine, very successful men that stayed with their women through the long haul. Now Ice Cube's wife, his name is Kimberly Woodruff, and they've been together since been together. Okay. Now.
Okay, I'm gonna say this though. The difference between Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg is Snoop Dogg came out with this whole pimp personality. Honestly and truly, the way he behaved, you wouldn't have even known that he was married, a lot of times. Ice Cube has always given Family Guy. Even when he was in his gangster era, he's never publicly embarrassed Kim. Am I tripping? Y'all let me know. Kamala is hot. She's a hot dissy chick, in my opinion. I think, you know what? She's a nice looking lady. I'll give her that. I don't like her as a person. I don't like her politics. She made a statement today looking extremely drunk, but she looked real good back in the day, and she still looks good now. I think being in that office, being in the White House, being the vice president kind of took a toll on her these past 4 years. But she's nice looking. All she needs is to get a little lift on her neck, okay? Don't be fooled, baby. Kamala can still pull a lot of these young ninjas out here. The problem is in Toronto, Drake is thinking of Trump. Or he said more people like, oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, so Ice Cube never gave male whore vibes. I'm going to say that.
Now, what I love about Ice Cube is y'all can't call him no loser. Y'all can't say washed up. Y'all can't say not a real man. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't put him in the category of like he's a cornball. You can do him like y'all do Russell Wilson. Y'all can't kind of say he's not being a real man because he's being a good man to his woman. You see what I'm saying? Y'all can never say that about Ice Cube. That's an old gangster that'll still probably go in the trunk. You talk to him too crazy.
No, facts. Ice Cube has he's a hustler. He's been on his hustle, been about his money. He's never been in the news for doing anything goofy. People have been upset with him these past couple election cycles because he has told Black people to withhold their vote from the Democratic Party. But he's also said that he wasn't going to go vote for Donald Trump. And I know y'all have this saying of if you don't vote for the Democrat, that's technically a vote for the other party. No, that is grabbing your cojones and saying, we don't owe you anything if you're not giving us anything. So if you want to win, you be wise to make good on your election promises once you get in office. Show us something, and then we will consider voting for you. Okay?
Then that man just literally was a part of one of the big three. He's one of the creators of the big three. Literally giving athletes an opportunity when they're young to make some money and have some money. And this man has been raising this family since before 99, okay?
And you don't see none of Ice Cube's children in any foolishness. They're not weird like weird Will and Jada's kids. You don't see them acting like Dwayne Wade and his kids and them. None of that.
We don't never hear nothing about Ice Cube. Now, this man been too handsome for too long. I'm already sure that he probably did his business. They handled it behind closed doors. I like that.
Well, yeah, he is handsome. He is handsome. When I was young, I remember being young and having a crush on Ice Cube. He's always been very handsome. But, I'm not saying he's never stepped out on Kim, but in all these years, not a one-side chick done came to the forefront. And this is the age of the internet. So that is impressive.
Okay, let me tell you something right now. I got a man, I deal with a man. Do you see what I'm saying? And a Nick Cannon, a Neo, you feel me? That's not a man to me. That's
Okay.
the corn and the cob to me. Do you see what I'm saying? This a man. Do you see what I'm saying? And he's trying to tell Cam Newton, I honor my woman. Yes, you don't like your mama every day, but you love who you with, and that's my woman. She's mine. I'm hers. I don't want nobody else messing with my woman. Have an opportunity to hop on my woman. And that's what I'm saying. I don't care what y'all think. A lot of Nick Cannon's baby mamas, I'm sure that some of them are whipped and trained like a Brie Teshi, but they ain't all with him. I'm sure there's another man that comes in
And if y'all look at Kim, Kim still looks good. And I've always said you can judge a man and how he is treating his woman based on how she looks. For example, I see plenty of men walking around here looking young, fresh faced when they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and the woman looks tired, raggedy, and wore down. Sometimes she's gained weight, and y'all know as we get older, it's harder to keep it off of us. But when you see a woman and she looks just naturally youthful and glowy still in her 50s, 60s, even up into the 70s. I know a woman that's almost 70 years old who's got a body better than most women in their 20s. I'm not even going to hold you, but she's got a good man. And she didn't live with a man who was dragging her down and mistreating her. She waited and she didn't get married until she was in her late 50s, right? She looks good and her man does right by her. So any woman who I have seen that has a good man, there's evidence of it. Anytime you see a woman looking too tired, raggedy, and wore down, that's because that man done drug her through the mud for years. Meanwhile, he still got a glow and a shine about him because he's been getting all his needs met from multiple people, or the woman has been doing all the labor at home. She tired. Ice Cube was one of my favorite of all time. He was my hero as a kid. Yeah, I mean, across all generations, he has a solid reputation.
takes care of their households while they go off and be corny like Cam Newton. And you can't say nothing about that lady to me. That's a cold piece.
Oh yeah, she
been holding it down, and that was smart. All the opportunities that Ice Cube has had in movies, in sports, in music.
I'm gonna say this. That's a couple that looks like they go together too. So Kim is very beautiful, and Ice Cube is handsome. Now you know they've changed through the years; they've gotten older, but Ice Cube always looked good. I'm sorry, he just got a little older, but he's always looked good. So this is a situation where you got a woman that's really like if Ice Cube didn't have any money, she'd probably still be with Ice Cube. This is not a situation where he got with a chick that he wouldn't be able to pull if he was broke or an average earner. Y'all understand? This is what you call looks compatible, equally yoked. It looked like it makes sense. You know, he looked like he got with the woman that he wanted. She looked like she got with the man that she wanted.
Been through him with all that. That's what you want. And guess what? Let me tell you the biggest part about this. This is the most important. I need y'all to listen to me. Let me make myself bigger because I need you to hear me. When Ice Cube gets old, and if he has a fall or needs somebody to be down to the nursing home checking on him, he's going to have a wife there. Yeah. Y'all get old, y'all have all types of heart problems, all types of liver and kidney and prostate and all types of issues. Nobody to rub your back at night because you old, you mess with all those women.
And y'all make sure that y'all hit the like button as y'all are coming in, please. You know, she makes a really good point. First of all, Ice Cube has taken care of Kim. She hasn't had to work a job if she doesn't want to. So, like, this is a man that absolutely deserves for his woman to nurse him in old age, if that's what it takes, right? Because he's been holding it down for years. He hasn't embarrassed her for years. He's been a real solid dude for years. He looked like the type to get out and change tires and all that kind of stuff. So, like, yes, when women are saying that they wouldn't mind being submissive, like that you naturally submit to a good man. This is a great example.
And then the women, they go with the children. You not being a good father, you got all these women, you are able to pay them attention. The children's not gonna come to your house. The children gonna go to their mama house. No love for you. When you old, Ice Cube gonna have that love. He gonna have a gorgeous woman sitting there rubbing his back all night because he cherished her throughout the years. Take a lesson. You want to be Ice Cube or you want to be Cam Newton?
Yeah.
Oh, Cam Newton doesn't need to be shaking.
So let's go back and watch some of this interview where Ice Cube is talking about family. So this is on Cam Newton's podcast.
Real quick, because I want to ask about how you've been able to really compartmentalize.
Now, I want y'all to take note of how these two men comport themselves, like the difference, because Cam Newton looks goofy. I've said this before. This man looks like Yogi Bear. I'm tired of these hats. I'm tired of the flamboyancy. And maybe I'm just old school, but I like men to look like men. I like them to be masculine. I don't like all these extra frills and fluffs. I don't like you to look like you spent too much time in the mirror. I like you to look nice, presentable, clean cuts, but all this extra is too much. It's giving sassy. I'm sorry, it is.
Your emotions, right? The world, you came onto the scene a part of a group that was brash, that was new, that was like, like right in your face. All the while morphing into this movie director or this writer, but also being a family man, a husband at the same time. So how are you able to compartmentalize these real emotions that, as a Black man, that's an issue for us to be able to be tough, paint this persona of a person, but have a family at home, but also knowing that in this industry, whether it's in Hollywood or any type of professional platform, you got to be able to maneuver in a way that the streets may not be the best advocate or the way you need to kind of operate. So how have you been able to like shake that?
My family's the most important thing to me.
I would say this.
You gotta prioritize.
See, this is how you're talking to a boy, and Cube is finna come with the world man response because he don't care about the streets or what other people think. He's the man. At the end of the day, we know Ice Cube from NWA. We know how he used to get with people. We know how he used to have time for people that tried him. Okay, in terms of putting some respect on his name and coming at him respectfully. Okay, we all know the reasons why he left the group. We all know that he was writing a lot of those raps and rhymes. Like, this man ain't never cared what another grown man had to say about what he was doing in his household. Period. And the fact that Cam Newton even thinks about that just lets me know he's still very childish.
By saying what's the most important thing in your life, and then everything else should be able to fall in place up under that. And as an entertainer, I want to be, incredible in what I do as an entertainer, but as a man, I want to be just as incredible.
Yeah.
And be there for my family, present as much as I can. So I can be in the streets.
And let me tell y'all, see, this is old school. This is old school masculine men. Men don't respect men who don't have families. Period. When men, and I'm talking about in terms of a business setting, I'm talking about in terms of getting money, right? That whole bachelor life, that sounds cool. But when you are doing business deals, potentially getting business loans, when you are negotiating money with other men who have money, I'm not talking about your average, regular, degular. I'm talking about the arena that Ice Cube is in. They do not trust men who don't have families. Why? Because if you don't have a family, in their mind, you're just blown with the wind. No, I'm not going to loan you any money. No, I'm not going to invest in your projects. No, like having a family for a man is social proof. It's almost as important as your credit history when you're talking about dealing in big money with other men who have a lot to lose. I heard Donald Trump talking about this. And yes, we know his history with women. We know he's been married 3 times, but there's a reason why he has always kept him a wife. So real grown men know and understand this, that having a wife gives them social validation among other men who are of high caliber. That's why when you hear all these average earning men on YouTube, or men who only got their money because they got on YouTube, which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a difference between that and a man who got it out the mud doing something else, versus these men who are coming up talking bad about women so they got a check. They're the ones who sit on the internet talking about, oh, high value men, they don't want to settle down and get married because they have all these options. But if you go to any fundraiser where you have men of means who are not ball players and entertainers, the vast majority of those men are going to be married, period. It is social proof. It is the expectation, and men do not trust other unmarried men in that space. They just don't. Hi, Big Money Politics. My son thinks Cube is ancient and a dinosaur. Well, yeah, I mean, that was a different time. I hate these men who corrupt other men and talk down about women. Yeah, it's giving whack. It's giving lame. I hate to see when men who really don't have money like that, like for example, and it's not that I didn't agree with some of the things that Kevin Samuel says, but he didn't have the money that people thought he had to be sitting up talking about what high value men do and do not want. As a matter of fact, if you go around a lot of spaces where men are high earners, very high earners, the majority of their women, their wives, are very average looking. But that's a whole nother conversation. A lot of those marriages be superficial. Well, some of them do. Some of them do. Okay, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
It's a lot more than I do, but that ain't where I want to be. You know, I'd rather be present and there for the people who've been there for me.
Do you come from that though?
What you mean?
Like family. You know, like you're married.
Yeah, my mother and father was together. I got a brother and 2 sisters. They're older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a tight group. You know, you fuck with one, we all running out the house.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had a man in his life.
But like you and your wife in this truth of hip hop.
Yeah.
You feel me? That when you talk about money, cars, clothes, hoes, fucking these bit like, but the reality is like my wife, my kids, being there for the things that are important, that was always your foundation. You know what I'm saying? How are you able to stay true to that foundation all the while still being a prominent, figure in the
Because it's an act. That's just like asking Denzel Washington, how does he play a role and then come home and be his real self with his family? this is all for entertainment, and that's the problem. A lot of people listen to rappers and singers, and they take it as the gospel truth, or they take it as the way that they should be living. When this is just entertainment, it's just people being braggadocious. For example, Cardi B talking about she don't cook and she don't clean, and I've seen plenty of videos of her in the house cleaning, right? Stayed faithful to Offset for years. Now we know she cheated this one time, but it took her a minute. Okay, she was portraying that city girl lifestyle, but really she wanted to be in the house, booed up. So, people need to understand this is all for entertainment. Stop taking it so seriously and stop holding these entertainers to a miserable standard. Because honestly and truly, it might sound good when they're rapping it, but when you put the way that they talk about living into practice, it's a miserable existence. For example, Future is always talking about illicit substances, and he says he don't even do them. He don't even do them. But imagine being high out of your mind for the majority of your existence. That does not sound like a happy place to be.
The culture.
And it's show business. This ain't the streets. My wife, she come from South Central Los Angeles too. We both grew up, with gang banging and dope dealing all around, all kind of shit we all grew through. And to be a part of entertainment is a blessing, and not have to be in that grind constantly. So we recognize that. And, this is fun. We shouldn't, make this complicated. Or, you definitely shouldn't, bring the street element into business, especially when it's not needed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what's the relationship or the marital hack to stay? How long you been married?
We've been married since 92. So what is that, 32 years?
How? For the masses?
We want to be.
Yeah.
You gotta want it.
I had to think about this. So Ice Cube has been married for longer than I have been alive. And he still looks really good, y'all.
You just gotta want it, man. You can't, I don't want nobody to have my woman. She mine. I'm hers.
What's the word that we just had somebody on? The relationship has to have staying power.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Now, I hope Jazzy watches this. I don't think she'll care, because if your morals and values change based on whether or not a man has money, because everything that she spoke against before she got with Cam Newton, she is now speaking in favor of. So if all a man has to do is have money and you completely change what you will and will not accept from him, then, to me, that's a character flaw. I'm going to say this. So I don't think she cares. I think it has a lot to do with money. But this is the difference between a man who actually wants to be with the woman that he's with because he genuinely loves her as a person, and a man who was just with a woman because he don't know how to be alone. So he always got to have him somebody, or he needs somebody to come help him take care of them kids that he has.
It's like certain things in the culture has never changed. It's just all about how you are locked in with your partner. Temptation happens, not just from a man's perspective, but also from a woman's perspective. Tragedy happens. Growing apart happens. You don't stay.
Big money politics. Do you have just one? Let me not say I'm not trying to be funny, because it might be funny. Because here's the thing, a lot of the men who I see talking about they got to have multiple can't even maintain a steady relationship with just one woman. I'm talking about a real relationship. I'm not talking about women that you sleep with from time to time, or women that you pay the light bill for, come up to her house and pay the light bill for. I'm talking about, or women that you pay to sleep with, that you go travel to sleep with. I'm talking about maintaining one healthy relationship first before y'all talk about y'all need multiple women. Okay. And I've always said this. I've said this before, and I stand on this. I feel like men who need to have a whole bunch of women, it's one or two things. Either you've never fully invested in a relationship and you're not focused, like you're not on your purpose in terms of getting to where you need to be financially, because that's draining. And then if you're dealing with even just one woman, that requires a lot. So if you're on your purpose, and if you are like genuinely dealing with one woman and dealing with her emotions, that is exhausting. Some of the men that I know who have a lot of money, most of them that I know who have real money, I'm not talking about street money, I'm talking about real money, will tell you it is very exhausting to try to maintain